Yo, welcome back to First Issue Club. This week we're talking about two comic books, Heart Attack out on Image Comics and Deadpool out on Marvel. With me as always are Greg, Caitlin, and the Budget King. I myself am Mike, and I am so ready to talk comics. It's Wednesday, we're vibing, we're hot off the presses. And
This is our Thanksgiving episode.
Ooh!
Yeah, which is apt because it feels like a fucking oven in here. The studio is blazing hot. I feel like a turkey.
Yeah.
I'm picturing you all as turkeys. I'm starving.
Why is it so hot in here?
I don't know. Maybe we're in hell.
We've finally done it.
I remember once when I was a little kid, my dad was like deep in thought, and he turns to me and he goes, "You ever think about maybe this is hell?" But speaking of being a kid, 2099 came back, which got us in the feels about growing up and comic books and all that good stuff.
He-Man enters the multiverse for the first time this week, and Pokemon is still kicking. Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield got released a week ago, so...
I've been playing it nonstop.
Oh, have you? You got it?
Yeah.
I think that's what we're going to do for this segment. We're just going to talk about some of those things that are popping back up in our lives that were
totally
present in our childhood.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention the facilitator of that now, Disney Plus.
Yep.
Ah, yes.
Just came out, and all of my favorite cartoon shows as a kid are on there, and I am overdosing on every series.
At the gym today, I heard two people talking about how they both have been binge-watching Gargoyles.
Gargoyles is on fire right now.
Is it really?
It is trending. All my friends are talking about Gargoyles this, Gargoyles that.
It makes sense that you would get this like boom of nostalgia from people who just haven't had access to these things that they remember really strongly. I'm always like, these things are way worse than I remember them.
Really?
I got a little bit of access to Uncanny X-Men, the cartoon, and the first episode was just not good.
Morph's in it. You guys remember Morph?
Yeah, he was based on another character. It was Changeling.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then they changed him to Morph for this and made him like a cool guy in a leather jacket.
And then he died.
Yeah, and then he like never comes back.
He's not in even any of the comic books.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like, he didn't translate. Harley Quinn started in, like, Batman the Animated Series and then became immensely popular in comic books. Morph missed the boat on getting popular in comic books.
So Batman the Animated Series, that was one of the best cartoons ever made, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think people universally kind of agree about that.
Like, that is a defining show of my childhood.
Yep.
It's Batman the Animated Series, Animaniacs.
Oh, Animaniacs, yeah.
And then basically any Nicktoon. Which, have you guys seen this news about Nickelodeon and Netflix signing an exclusive deal?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No.
I cannot wait
So they're going to be making new Nickelodeon shows and new Nickelodeon shows based on pre-existing intellectual properties. I mean, they already did New Rocco, that movie.
Yeah.
Which, did you guys see that?
No.
It was good. They actually had like a pretty positive trans message.
Really?
Yeah, like Mr. Big Head's son transitioned into a female. It was all about Mr. Big Head accepting his son, now daughter, in the show.
I had no idea.
Check it out. It's like 45 minutes.
I'll totally watch
It
that.
looked pretty awesome.
And it's like a critique on like technology now. Because I guess in the last episode of Rocco, they were shot into space.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they like were living in Rocco's house in space. Well, the rocket comes back to Earth, and they're like, there's cell phones now that you can watch TV on and like order stuff from Amazon. Like
That we talked about this a long time ago. A lot of things that get brought into present day make kind of a commentary on technology, which most of the time is miserable.
Yes, not interesting.
So bad.
It's like...
See Rugrats, right? Like
Yeah,
that's like the
Rugrats.
example I always think of.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's always looking at their phones. No one talks to people.
It makes me think about like...
okay, boomer.
If you're... Exactly. There we go. I'm glad that made it finally. that meme has like gone so far so quickly that it's like so stale now.
Within less than a week.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's stale because boomers are now using it. I'm like, God, you even killed the okay boomer meme. Fuck you, boomers. I did see a meme that was like something about the Industrial Revolution, and it's like an oil painting, and they're looking down at somebody that's like knitting, and they go, okay, loomer. And I enjoyed that.
I saw one with 3 witches flying, and one was on like one of those robots that clean your place. and it said, "Okay, Broomer."
Ooh, I like that.
I saw one where there's this guy and he's sitting on the beach and there's a boat going by and then he goes, "Okay, schooner."
Whoa. I saw this one. It was like this person, he was like kind of like decrepit and just like sitting on his bed, like very withered away, and lots of family members around him and stuff. And he goes, "Okay, tumor."
Oh, I saw one. It was 3 cats, and they were just like sitting there, and one was like licking himself, and they go, "Okay, groomer."
Oh.
I saw this one with Frank Sinatra and it said,
I was
"Okay, crooner."
I saw this one with 2 Texas A&M fans and 1 Oklahoma fan, and they go, "Okay, Sooner."
Yeah.
That's good.
Did you see any?
Did I see any?
Yep.
Yeah. I saw one that was like based in the ocean, and there was like a big whale, and then like this guy like, had a gun and said, "Okay, harpooner."
Bit.
And that's been Rhymes.
Bit.
That's been Shonda Rhimes.
Let's okay this boomer started. First up on the docket, we have Deadpool #1. Oh man, so many Deadpool #1s in our lifetime, and here's another one. Some of them are funny, some of them are very not funny and try to be funny, which makes them even less funny. I love Leah Williams. She's the new creator on this.
Kelly Thompson?
Fuck Kelly Thompson.
I know why you said Leah Williams, though, because Gwenpool makes an appearance.
That's probably why. Leave it in. Hey, we got to keep ourselves honest every once in a while. I'm not going to...
You're going to leave
edit,
that in?
I'm
That's
not
good.
going to edit out all of the goofs and yuckamuruck.
I like Yuckamuruck.
Yeah, Yuckamuruck.
I just came
rolls
up
off
with that
the
on the
tongue.
fly.
And don't edit that out either.
Is
Yeah.
that a t-shirt? Yuckamuruck?
Yuckamuruck.
First
Yeah.
issue.
That yes.
Is that a boomer thing to say? That'll make a good T-shirt. It's like saying that's a
No.
good band name.
No.
No, okay, good.
Okay, is this the thing that people are doing with band names? Is where you always say what a terrible band name would be,
No, people just
like a title of your sex tape type of thing?
I think boomers are just like whenever you say like some cool sounding words together, they'll be like, "That's a cool band name."
Oh, okay.
I've never heard that from a boomer.
You've never heard a boomer say like cool band name? Like if you're like lipstick smear, like, cool band name.
Steel trapdoor.
Oh, cause that's a cool band name.
Iron tusks.
That's a cool band name. Think about it.
Broken clock face.
Cool band name.
Turquoise baloney.
That's a cool band name.
That actually is a cool band
Turquoise
name.
Maloney. Yeah.
See, that's a cool band name.
Are you ODing on that fucking hand
Hand
sanitizer over there? Must be clean for Papa.
For Ghost Papa.
I just feel like it's a new character you're
Papageist.
developing. You sound like Bobby Bottle Service a little bit. You just keep saying that's a cool band name, constantly slathering yourself in hand sanitizer.
Stop.
No, it didn't get every morsel.
He has to have 100% coverage.
You're going to get inebriated from all that.
Yeah, your
Alcohol
hands are going to
seeping into
crack
your
in
hands.
half tomorrow.
Deadpool.
Okay, Deadpool. So this book answers the questions that maybe no one had, such as what if Deadpool became the ruler of all monster kind, which headquartered on Staten Island? And what if a story gave sexual tension between Deadpool and Elsa Bloodstone room to just develop? Maybe no one had those questions, but Kelly Thompson still engages you with the answers nonetheless.
You guys ever laugh in this book?
I chuckled to myself.
I had moments where I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, I would say internal smirks.
Yes.
I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
I laughed. I'm excited as much as I can be for a Deadpool book. Nobody here is a huge Deadpool stan, but nobody's like anti. Is anybody anti Deadpool?
I am anti-Deadpool cosplay.
I was going to say, this book was kind of this set apart from when you read a Deadpool book, you don't want to be buying into that kind of fandom, but you do want to like the character,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
I don't know if I'm following. What's wrong with people in Deadpool costumes?
Because I feel like when they do a Deadpool cosplay, I imagine in their brain they're given some kind of Willy Wonka golden ticket to be an annoying dickhead at a con.
I get
and just
ya.
like run up to you and been like, blah, 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 and it says like, "You got any burritos?" And it says like, "Get the fuck out of my face, you idiot! Like, what are you doing?"
I'm following now.
And
I've
it's like
definitely experienced this.
Anyone that dresses up like Harley Quinn and always like busting in your face is like, "Hey, Puddin'." It's like, get the fuck. I'm trying to look for a goddamn comic book, not get your giant sledgehammer in my fucking face.
Okay, where I totally agree with you, 100%. I don't think I ever have anybody cosplaying come up to me and say something.
Oh, there was one year I had no less than
No
100
Harleys, definitely
Deadpool dudes like in one
dude,
group.
like fuck with you.
Yeah.
Not they didn't like
not
heckle me or like
yeah, not
follow me around.
bullying,
Just like
but-
fucking get that guy.
but they certainly invade your space and the space around them and make a shtick out of it.
Yeah, and it's not from the comic. It's from that fucking movie. It's Ryan Reynolds. Like,
No, I think
He
it's
wa-
comic book fans.
Yeah, because he didn't even do that much. I think his was more aligned. The way he played it was more aligned with this
Deadpool
run.
at cons was certainly a thing way before the movies. That was like the...
right. I won't harp on it for long, but I feel like the movie elevated it to a level of just like,
Now everyone knows who Deadpool is.
yeah, and any schmuck is gonna be like, hey, I can be kind of like jokey with everyone because
So
I'm
he-
in this fucking costume.
Here's the gag: is that everyone does a variation of Deadpool. Last convention I went to, there was a Michael Jackson Deadpool, and a
Yeah.
guy walked around blaring Thriller for the like entire convention. I walked by him like a million times, and you notice him just because his boombox is wailing, and you can't hear the person next to you when.
Well, that's a good... What would be
Michael
your,
Jackson
what would be your cool
Deadpools.
Deadpool variant that you would do at a con?
I
Hold
wouldn't
on.
consider
We need
that
to,
as
we need to
cool,
clarify what cool
but,
is,
um,
because that sounds annoying as shit.
yeah, it was really annoying.
It does, yeah. It is not cool. It's just as
But
like...
there's other people.
I'll honor his commitment to the bit.
Yeah, right.
Can you imagine what it was like to listen to Thriller nonstop that entire day?
It must have
That
been
dude was
terrible.
That person in that costume was probably loving it.
Yeah, I think like there are some like good jokes though that get cosplayed. Deadpool's just not one of them. Like Breaking Bad season 3, when that had just aired, there was a guy with like a turtle with a head on his back, and he just like walked around like a turtle the whole con. And it was like it's in reference to like this thing that blows up and a turtle's on the guy's head, and it's like that's funny.
I appreciate jokes where it doesn't invade my con experience.
Well, yeah. I mean, what you described seems like an homage, like an inside thing that really dedicated fans would get that doesn't invade on anyone else's
That's a good point. Yeah.
thing. Like it's an inviting type of costume where the Deadpools that we have encountered that we're referencing are not
Or
inviting
invading.
so much as invading and like
Yeah.
just trying to get attention for attention's sake.
But you know what else was inviting? This book that we read.
This book didn't get, it was like kind of overshadowed by a lot of things, and you would think like a relaunch of a Deadpool, they'd be like, no.
We should talk about this week. A ton of fucking shit came out
Yeah.
this week.
It was insane. I spent so much money, and I was like, why am I spending so much money
Same.
in October or in November?
Yep.
Like, it's...
They normally cool off around the holidays.
Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah.
I had to put so many books back because I'm just like, I'm over my limit.
Yeah. my allowance is done. I can't get any more.
Yeah, it's
Mom's
nuts.
gonna be mad.
This whole like X-Men stuff that's like coming out, and then there was 2 Heart books that were good independent books.
Heart Attack and Heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whoops. Machine Girl. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I did.
Are you guys hoping that Deadpool being king of the monsters is an ongoing thing, or are you okay if that's like a fleeting
I need
character
I need
trait?
to see all the monsters. I need that to like play out. Like I like that he's royalty now.
Yeah.
Especially with his Knights of the Roundish Table. I want to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
If he ever if he eventually commands respect, or if they still kind of hate him and he kind of like just disrespects his own guard the whole time, like that could be interesting.
And like I'm sad that the bird-looking dude gets killed.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we think.
He was my
I
fave.
assume he is.
He got
Me too.
His little bird feet you could see when he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
That's one thing I really liked about this, is that it seemed like it was ushering in a new era and setting up some groundwork for things that we might spend a lot of time with the character, which is great and shows some investment potentially in it. But it also gave us a strong message that like nothing is safe and nothing is sacred, which I feel like is key to a Deadpool book essentially.
Now, I have a question for Michael D.
Yeah.
So you read Spider-Man The Hunted, right?
Yes.
The series that came out earlier this year?
Indeed, I did.
So in that series, it revolved around Kraven.
That's pronounced Kraven.
Fuck on. Fuck off.
Fuck on, fuck off.
Fuck on, fuck off.
Fuck on. Fuck off. Kraven's in that.
Yes.
And also his sons.
Yes.
Old man Kraven dies,
Yep.
right? So is this Kraven that we see in this Deadpool?
That
One of his
definitely
sons?
looks like a young Kraven,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
So that's what I'm like. Is this like the new Kraven, like taking on the mantle of his father, trying to prove that he's good enough to fill his father's boots, or lion vest?
Could be. But I also think that Kelly Thompson might have just been like, I want to use Kraven. Is he on the table still? And they said, yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead."
kinda.
Yeah.
I think that what this book does really well is like Deadpool breaks rules and like, hey, yeah, Staten Island is full of monsters, but technically, legally, they get to stay there. And so, like, the Avengers aren't going to come and get rid of them. I don't know.
Well, they might, which is why he told that sea monster to back off because he doesn't want Captain America coming in and making him look like a fool.
I like that. That's like it's going to be Deadpool, like kind of like managing the monsters.
So now he's a
Keep
sovereign
it down.
of like
Keep
this
it down.
this like statehood that he has.
Well, that's interesting too because he's just like an agent of chaos that is now put in a place where he has to deal with the bureaucracy and handhold and
And
keep
rein
everything
chaos
in
in.
line. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he even said he was bored, like halfway through the list of stuff he had to do, and they went and got ice cream instead.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you can already see that he's not cut out for any of this.
This is the Deadpool that I could like grow with. Where I'm like,
Grow
yeah,
old with.
Yes, let's see. I hope the Wu-Tang Clan appears. Aren't they from Staten Island?
I thought they're from Brooklyn.
Nah,
Is it like its own separate island?
it is.
It is.
Yeah.
So that makes sense of why all the monsters are there.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
they just exiled them.
Mhm.
Which makes me think this does spill out from Doctor Strange, where they had that portal open in that series that he had in 2018
Okay.
and just banished them all to Staten Island. It was an interesting book. I really, really enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to like a Deadpool book.
Yep. Ditto.
And we've seen a lot of Deadpool books come and go
Yep.
in this short tenure of this podcast.
His shtick is overplayed. The character gets used way too much, and it was refreshing to read something that I felt like actually had some staying power or a story that was interesting, because so much of the Deadpool landscape is throwaway to me.
And we like Kelly Thompson a lot.
Yeah.
So I kind of actually thought it was going to be good. And she made a big deal about being like, she's the first female in a long time to write for Deadpool. So she named
Yeah,
it.
like I am actually like really intrigued of how she treats the character. Like
And
I think it's gonna be really cool.
I'm so pumped to hear what Heart Attack's about.
Budget King read a different Heart book this week, one that was published on Boom Comics.
One
That was
week, two
called-
hearts.
What was it called?
Heartbeat.
And
I was gonna say Heart Boom. This is just getting out of control.
I get it. I get now that the comic shop that you go to organizes indie books alphabetically.
Yes.
So extremely confusing. Obviously, they would be next to each other. Obviously, they would look like variants for each other.
Yes.
In my mind,
Organized by publisher.
I knew there was 2 independent books coming out. I just couldn't remember the name of the Image book, and I just grabbed the coolest looking variant, thinking I grabbed the independent book. But
Yeah, Art
Yeah.
Shop puts all the independents in one.
It's such
Doesn't
a
make sense.
dumb way
Publisher
to organize comics.
And then Alpha within Publisher.
Yes.
I think
That's the only way.
I think they do it because they don't truly understand comic books.
Or give a shit about indie books.
They're just like, oh, these are the comics that like I don't read.
not Spider-Man.
Yeah. These are the
It's
not
like
Wolverines.
it's like a library. Just go by the title.
Well,
Dewey Decimal System.
do we have a summation of Heart Attack for Budget King so we can kind of know what it's about before
Yeah.
our conversation?
Yes, of course.
All right.
Yes, it's gonna be quick
Okay.
because I want to have more of a free form instead of me just describing.
Totally.
But hopefully you'll get the gist. So, Heart Attack is a story about when a scientist creates variants, aka mutants in the process of curing a major outbreak, and he accidentally births a young and angry and persecuted generation of kids with powers.
Okay. So it's kind of like X-Men on Image.
It's
Maybe. We'll see.
So there was a cool note, and it was in the author's notes at the back, which kind of put it back into this is something that I want to support, but I did find it to be pretty derivative. I don't think it's telling a new story, which I know is a hot take, but
Ooh.
it doesn't mean I didn't
Burn
like
myself.
it.
Derivative of what?
X-Men, derivative of any kind of story where they're trying to
Did it feel like
tell a story about a persecuted people.
Did it feel like youthful though? Like it's like high school kids banding together, or like?
It felt futuristic.
Yeah.
It felt high tech.
And it felt like it was focused on a generation who wasn't necessarily really young or coming of age. Like they've found out who they are and they have an identity.
Yeah, mid-20s.
Yep. One of them's in foster care or something, but he looks like he's in his 20s.
27.
So I did think they were younger. But maybe I misread. It was kind of like a Gossip Girl age of people, if that makes sense.
Oh, I so identify with that.
Okay, cool.
Who is she? Who is she already, this Gossip Girl?
Why is it called Heart Attack?
I think it maybe has something to do with when they touch hands
Yes.
or when they bond. So the
I think they're
two
going to be a couple.
main characters that you follow throughout the story, they are able to boost each other's powers, but they don't know it until
That makes sense.
like
one of them's
midway
name,
through.
One of them's name is Heart, and the other one's name is Attack.
It's not true.
No, it's not.
Okay. Yes.
I think on the cover you see them holding hands and you assume that they're just a couple, but that's how they
Yeah.
invigorate each other's powers. They both have they're weak variants. They're persecuted, but they're only dangerous enough to have like their hand glow a little bit. But together they're like the most powerful variants like anyone's ever seen. People are like blown away by this like mistaken outpouring of power.
And sometimes quite literally blown away.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a sexual joke?
No, it's like they're able to push people
She
away.
she
okay.
pushed
A
it
mind
away.
push.
Yes.
Telekinesis.
I don't know if this is worth even mentioning because it's not even fully formed, but it does go into identity a little bit for both of them separately before they've found out how to boost their powers. And it's kind of like how I've heard people who are biracial describe like not being able to fully identify with either side because they are kind of made fun of
Sure.
in the variant culture, but still like in
Hated
danger
by the
of
other
being
group.
arrested
Mm-hmm.
if they're out past curfew
Yep.
by the majority. So it's like it is kind of trying to make some of those statements
Yep.
that maybe I think now that I'm talking about it would differentiate from another
But
kind of mutant story
That's
line.
actually what I think X-Men does, though.
Is
like
it?
make those kind of statements about like minorities and like
I think so
persecution.
too.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it goes into like that passing culture though.
Oh, that's a good point.
As
Yeah.
much as this did.
that's a niche that it doesn't do. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a good point.
But I mean, other than that, I do think it draws very similar parallels.
It's derivative.
It's more identity based rather than like racial or
Mm-hmm.
political, maybe.
And so, like, just to reiterate, these mutants or variants are created to avoid some type of disease.
There's like a plague or something
Yeah.
So why
that's
would,
killing off the population.
why wouldn't people celebrate them then?
They did initially. They didn't realize that it had caused a mutation in the genes of pregnant mothers who then gave birth to these babies
So there's a whole generation of these people who are
whose
variable.
DNA is not identifiably human, is what the
Yeah.
book says. So
They
they
look
didn't
like
know
people.
about it. They just thought he cured and saved the world from mass extinction, gave him a Nobel Prize, everything was good. Then people started
do
being
any of
born.
them have like mundane dumb powers that don't even do anything?
Well, like this one kid, before he boosts them, he was like, I can't even light a candle. My hands just kind of get real warm.
Okay.
It's like a hot plate. Hot plate hands.
Hot plate hand.
Which actually,
That's
that's
my
like
nickname in
They
college.
call
That's
me
actually-
hot plate hand.
a good power. Your coffee doesn't get cold, or
I would like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
that make yeah.
your
that's
bowl of
pretty great.
soup stays lukewarm.
Ew.
Is it just that like they would be connected, or is it that any two variants can touch each other and
This
boost?
is the first time that anyone's experienced this, as far as we can understand from
They
it.
made a
She-
big to do.
She thinks, like, when it first happened, she thinks that he's dosed her with some sort of, like, transdermal thing.
But why is it just them that can do it?
We're gonna find out.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
that's kind of the
Yeah.
whole point
Okay,
of
but like other variants have obviously touched, and that's never happened before. So somehow
We assume, yeah.
they were predisposed to be together. Could they be siblings? and they don't know it.
That
I
could
don't know.
be one
Because
was.
he's in foster care.
Yeah, one's in foster care.
Are they fucking? That'd be weird.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But if porn has taught us anything, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
I love
I-
taboos.
I'm gonna say this.
He's in the Black Eyed Peas.
You guys did not completely sell me on this book.
Yeah, well,
I'm not sure I was completely sold on it either. I think the identity issues, the more I kind of fleshed that out in my mind, it made it more interesting.
Yeah, I liked the idea of like, as much as they say like X-Men for like the modern age now, it's not a comic book that really feels like it's been for teenagers in a really fucking long time. And I think it's great for teenagers to have a book like X-Men that's not super convoluted, and maybe some of the metaphors and parallels between culture are easier to grasp. And this book is certainly that.
And if you
that is a
don't-
really good point. That
Yeah.
X-Men is no longer for teenagers.
Yeah.
And that like maybe there does need to be a X-Men like book that actually is for teenagers. I could get on that.
This is
It's
like
like
a
a s-
streaming culture and has a lot of young people who are doing young news people things. And
Influencers, it talks
Yeah.
about that.
Right.
So making it accessible, yeah, I think is a good point. The other thing that I was mentioning in the author's notes that kind of brought me back to really wanting to support this is that the author says that any profits they receive from the monthly sales is going to go to the Southern Poverty Law Center.
it's a pretty big statement.
Yeah.
There's going to be 12 issues of this, I think. So any proceeds is a lot for such a endeavor.
that's a pretty dope flex.
This has been another episode of First Issue Club. We are a proud member of the Fountain City Frequency family of podcasts. Our music is provided by Primary Color Music. We are recorded in KCUR Studios. You can find us, rate us, friend, and follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email, and your favorite listening platforms at First Issue Club, FIRST.
like I hate 300. I thought it was rubbish. Terry. So,
Get in this hole.
oh,
That's my favorite part of that
you guys wanna
movie.
know?
Where he yells, "Get in this hole."
Watch your step.
Tonight we dine at Cheddar's. I have no idea if, I mean, that probably wasn't in there, but
uh,
Should have been.